I was already live and I forgot to hit the intro, so it was a solo rough start. Um, Thanks for joining. I'm gonna be doing at least four on here today. Hopefully, I gotta get some of the names. I forget some of the names, but I was gonna work on that one. That one. There's something about this photo of the original photo of this one. It just totally looked like an illustration. It was crazy. This one, I don't get to do too many Stormcast. I wanted to do a cool Stormcast, and this had some nice colors and that going on that I could play into. Oh, this was my favorite. This photo is brilliant to me, and the same with like the paint scheme. It's my kind of thing. So this was like just the composition and everything. It was like one of those where I think that was posted early, and I just loved it. I was like, okay, that's got to get done. And probably try to get some done. I started this one by Wolf Lord Lewis, so I want to get some more going on with that. But first, let me try to do this. I wanted to look at. Oh gosh, hey, thanks for joining. I'm like all caught up in my own world, and people are like chatting in there. Blood Angel Commander, thanks for making it. Martin, appreciate it. Oh, and I have to give. So I just like last night. I'm featured in the White Dwarf. Was it 465? Which of course you know because I've been spamming it everywhere. But I didn't think about I was getting the book delayed in the U.S. because of like shipping and everything. But I forgot that you know in the UK the home delivery, the people who have subscriptions are going to get it early. So I thought I had like another week or whatever, so I wasn't fully prepared, and then I didn't realize that. I mean, I should have, I just didn't think about it. On YouTube, some people review the magazine, they'll review White Dwarf, and I was like, oh my gosh, I saw someone posted, and I was like, I didn't even think about that, so I got to see it that way. And but anywho, I'm releasing some of the videos of the time lapses for the paintovers that are in White Dwarf on the YouTube channel. And oh gosh, what is it? Games Mal, I can't even remember your Twitter handle anymore. Martin, I can't remember. But anyway, I'm going to tweet him out because he's producing. If you watch the videos and you see a good one that's well produced, it's his. Mine are like the quick edits, and you take something out or just put some music over and go. So you'll see he did some really great stuff with that. And now I was blown away by all the pictures everyone submitted. It was kind of crazy. Oh, wait, how do I get that back? Where did that go? Okay, there we go. I'm trying to make it larger. All right. Here we go. So that was my tweet. I think these are like in reverse order. So they're the Bugman's barbecue. It if I had more time, or even if I just like got a Photoshop scene, like imagine him pulling up and all the like a burning kind of a combat scene, or like some blown up buildings all on fire, or like some burned out tanks all behind him. That would be kind of funny. That was a great one. I love this model. And this would have made a good one. A little too, I would have to erase a lot of stuff in here. And I was like, it would grab some of it. You know what I mean? I would get most of it, but all these I still have to do the edge kind of clean. It's a nice composition though, because he's got the green and the brown, and it would make a good paint over. Because you could just do the cool, like some kind of contrasting color against the green and have the green all glowing. So it's actually a really good photo composition for one. These are some cool. That was my favorite. It has 4 pictures in here. That one was really like, I love that model's face. Like he's looked like he's been in some wars. This is the other cool one. I don't know where these minis are from, but I dig them. It's got weight. I don't know if that's Games Workshop or not. And I can't see anyone's chat right now, by the way, but I will be looking shortly. Blast from the Past, submitted that one last week. I really wanted to do that. I still kind of do. It's clean enough. The background. So the reason I kind of generally ask for white is because I'll show you in this thing. I just put a selector on it and I slide it and it grabs the color. And if it's close to what's in the model, it grabs the model too. Like these whites and these grays are basically almost the same. Like, they're not, but if you grayscaled it, they're darn close into a computer. This one was a cool composition too. I always like upshots. Upshots, everything. It's always like powerful, and you get a lot of these. They do with the upshots. You end up with the shadow, and those shadows are always good for illustrations. They make it strong. Adriatis. This is I never saw these before, and that's actually a really good shot. Kind of like a battle line, and I dig the gold. Anytime with gold, I'm realizing it's always going to be like glinting or sparkling or something like that. I always want to do like the overblown illustrated gold. And it's just that always makes me think of that. I always want to do like some cool sparkles. This thing, I stared at this. I love this thing, right? And I stared at it for a while, and I didn't know on the stream. I'm going to end up doing it because I think they submitted it before. And I seen it. And I just know this thing. I love how the hazard stripes point towards the helmet, kind of, on his shoulders and everything. I I don't know. And I think just seeing black background, which I love for photos, right? So like personally, I love the look on a black background. It just makes those colors so rich. But I don't think my brain processes it the same when I look at a white one, right? So the same ideas don't pop in my head simply, I think, because of the black background. And even though I've cut them out and done them with black, and I do them all the time, and it would probably work just to cut it out. I was like, I don't know, I'm going to end up doing something because I can't tell if I want like explosions behind the legs and all kinds of stuff. So that one I'm sure I'll end up seeing again, and it's because it's super cool. I don't know what the is of this Necron. I think I painted over one before, and I dig them. In anything with that glow, you can always play into this. And you got the nice green glow, and you got the contrasting gold. And then like the blades, I always like I would go in here probably in the seam and really make the seam glow in this one, and you could pull off some great lighting with it. Nice crisp photo too. I haven't seen. I mean, this one's just kind of released, I think, and almost like I would almost. It was one of those like, man, I could do some cool stuff with it, and I was worried just a little bit about cleaning it up too much. But there's a lot of these that I just want to do, and it kind of bums me out. In this one, I should have just done it. So Squire Kane, I don't know, Corn Kane, Squire JJ is one of the ones in the White Dwarf magazine. So I did a paint over on one of his, and it got in the White Dwarf, which was really awesome. Oh my gosh, Peter Sippett. And I almost took him, and the only reason I didn't is because I remember doing the other I painted this over a while ago, which I loved. And so I was like, well, I'm going to try to grab some people that I know I never did a paint over for, or think I never did a paint over for, but look at that thing. That is so cool. And I think the bright ones, I love muted and stuff, but there's something about like the bright ones where I go to do a paint over because I see those green orbs and I'm like, oh, I could put the overlay area on it and like really brighten that up and cast that glow and stuff. I didn't know if I would go. You'd have to go kind of dark background on this to make that all pop, but yeah, that is an awesome photo. There's only 4 of them. This thing is intense. Gold again gets me. I don't know if I've ever seen this chest piece. You know, it's all ribbed like that. I don't. That thing looks awesome. Maybe it's a conversion. I have no depth. Lee's not here yet, so I have no. I don't listen to me on anything that's about a model or what company. I do like these because I always see the blowing. You can do the blowing in the wind type effect. It's got the smoke coming out of the. It's not a cauldron. I don't know what that is. That pan thing, incense burner. Oh, they did a really nice job on that face. Look at that face. I didn't notice that before. That's gotta be hard. Yeah, they put the. Yeah, that looks so cool. Pick that one. Oh, that yeah, the whatchamacallit right here. That makes it like really was the nice touch because it's in the foreground and it's got that yellowish orange. You know what I mean, right there. And so it's kind of perfect. You know, I just dug that. It like forces it there, and I can put some nice gun flashes on the barrel, and it's a nice pretty easy one. I still cleaned up the edges a little bit on it, but it wasn't bad. I love the gritty walkers. Little too complex, just a bit on some of these pieces. I mean, not for all, but just because what I was trying to get today done. I did do this one. This one looks like another one that looks like an illustration, and I stared at it for a while because I didn't know. It's really colorful, right? But it's like I don't want super dark background. Don't know if I want um really bright, like too bright of a background, then you have too bright in the foreground and it's like chaotic. But I really wanted to do it because it just looks so different. It like looks like a comic cover or like a comic painting because of those like really saturated and colors. I mean, that skull, I still can't, like, it doesn't even look like it's a photo to me on that, upper staff. It still doesn't. This one was cool. That's a good photo. And it's a chaos. Like I could do some really good lighting in on there, and with the eye over here, and the gunfire, and the cannon. And that one was almost picked. That's what bums me out. I know. Here's another one. Only reason I didn't is the isolation. I love this model, and that's a great one. And I was like, ah, I picked basically all the ones I picked had super clean backgrounds, and I was like, all right, maybe that way I can get one more. This one I could have done, and that's another one. The Chaplins are always some of my favorite models. I used to have the one on the bike. It was like a great one of riding on the old school one, and I liked them ever since then. This one, I could do some nice dusty base with that. Like he's in a good. I don't know if it's a little too. The arm is far enough forward where I don't think the camera being at the chest bothers me at all. So like it does. It's got just some models are looking straight on, but because of a slight curve to them or something, they're easier to do. This one I want to do. That's a great photo because of the angle, but again, so comics is different to me than obviously 40K because you're not going to have the same everything's dusty and you know what I mean, it's not as grimdark. So I was like, oh, me, do I like draw a building, like draw the city streets or a building in there, or like maybe Photoshop a city below that. So I want to do, I think, some Marvel ones later, but try a different, I'm going to take a little different perspective with it, do something a little different. The Mantic Giants, I've been seeing these around, and I didn't know they're so huge. And I think there's something like, I don't know, what were they, like 29 pounds in the UK or something for this huge thing? Look how massive that was. But someone, look at the goblins on them. Someone submitted one and I had them resend it. And they did, and I'm going to end up doing a couple, probably just for like Mantic. I might do a day where I do a couple Mantic. This is a great photo. be able to glow that rune that's all the way around and have that all glowing with the kit like this, because I could light it from the ground basically and have that lit up and then do something over there. That's a really good one actually. This one, another one. This gets me. He's got I could darken it a little, and then that flame right there, I could have it all lit on the side of the car, so you really know he's like about to throw a Molotov. And I almost was trying to combine it. Warbringer, I want to do is nice and clean, like that's easy to grab. I almost wanted to try to put this one chasing this one. You know what I mean? Put this one in front of that one and have it behind, and do two at once. General, that Wolf Lord Lewis, that is the repulsor that I was working on. This one too. That's another one. All the gold. Like I could do that with him firing and have just crazy gold reflections and then that nice blue energy on this one. And I always dig those big wings. This one here, I was staring at, and the nice cool colors and then flaming blade, and I could really do a nice flame on this one. Have those two really glowing. And I didn't know it has a snow base with a white background. I almost wanted to go like snow. That's where I put it, but I'm like, I don't know if it like would mess with that glow or whatever. So it was like a thing where I just didn't have it as firm in my mind as the other ones. God, I haven't interacted with anyone. I'll get to that point soon. I'm just babbling. They were so nice. I wanted to go over a bunch of them. A little blurry on these photos, but I dig I like these heads. I like the heads. There's a couple of them with really good. So it's like if they were cleaner or one of them, and some of these really work. Like this works from an up angle, but I'm just such a big fan of kind of putting them at the edge of the table and taking a pic. Almost on this one too. That's a great shot. It really is. It's a good angle. It's a good sculpt. It's a cool like angled sculpt on that too. A lot of action. This one I love, and I had them send it. I don't know where it's at, but there's an upshot with that shadow of this mini, and it's great. So Joe Dane took an awesome shot, and I'm going to end up doing that another day. Night Lord. I wish this was angled a little more. I was almost thinking of this one, and then I was gonna not lay him down, but angle him so he's more like his claws are down here. That's the joys of Photoshop. You can just do it. Did do this one. You don't get too many people putting Stormcast in. I like the glow they had going down here, and when you look in here, there's a little purple. I was like, okay, I can kind of do like some purplish rock in there, and I can keep that gray color, and I think I'm gonna boost up the gold a little. Like, no, I'm not gonna do it gold, but it's gonna glow just a little bit more, and then I'll put this obviously glowing nice, and I kind of want to play this up if I can do it right, because they got kind of like the lightning going on there. Almost did this one because I never see this thing. I don't know if it's totally homebrew, and it is awesome. And I was like, the thing that stopped me is I wanted to put plants. Look at how cool the plants are here. And I was like, okay, if I really start getting into rendering plants and trying to make it look good, I might lose the plot. So that's the only reason I resisted. No, there are a whole bunch of awesome ones here. I still might end up doing this one. That's a great one. I could put the gun flashes. It's got a lot of action. It totally looks like a battle. Even though it's like digitized and half rough, I could still clean it up good enough to do one on that. I still haven't done one of these. This was submitted later. Oh, and this one, I stared at these forever. It's another one with the black background where it throws me. And all that stuff, like a lot of it you can make glow, like it's got all that. And I didn't know, like if you look on the ground, it's even got really cool stuff. And for me to match that, I would want to paint in a lot of that or take some of the mushrooms and put it down into there. But it's such a like a intricate and like kind of perfect paint job and so clean that I would have to imitate it really well. And I wouldn't just get away with, you know what I mean? Some lighting and some stuff like that. It would be, cause I want it like that. They have this earring all glowing. These were some incredible incredible ones. I might have an idea. I had an idea kind of for this one that might work. Cutting it out and putting a slightly lighter background behind, but leaving the sides dark, almost like there's like a tunnel of trees in the forest, kind of at dusk or night, you know. And he was coming through. This one I did pick because it just blew my mind. Another great model, just a little cut off with stuff. And I think that's everything. Oh, here's Lee. Let me bring Lee in. I just babbled that whole time and I didn't even check comments. Oh, my tablet went off. Uh-oh, how do I do this? I gotta add a camera. Oh, this thing totally went off. Be right with you. All right, that should be another source to add. All right. What camera view do we take this? That. And Lee's up. Lee's looking straight up. He's sleeping. He waited for me the whole time.
I'm dead.
Too hot. Not be dead.
Hello.
Hey, I gotta go check comments. I just talked for like 20 minutes straight about everyone's submissions.
Yeah,
everyone's probably checked out. There's probably no one on the stream. I didn't even check. I'm probably babbling for nothing.
I was spying.
Let me see.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, we still got some people. All right, thank you very much for joining us.
Hello, Crimson.
All right, I gotta read some of these because that was horrible.
Oviton. Hello.
Oh, thank you, Oviton. Thanks for making it. And yeah, and thanks for the kind words. Okay, so like that was a big deal for me getting in that White Dwarf. So, my gosh, it's not my nature to be like, hey, look at me, you know, and you got to push it. But the thing is, it's like you got to strike while the iron's hot, so to speak. And a lot of people have been like retweeting and commenting, and that stuff really, really helps. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you got the most momentum I've had, then people are giving it that little extra push. So I really appreciate that. It helps me greatly. So thank you very much.
And Rob Walters is here as well.
Wolf Lord Lewis, there's your repulsor, buddy.
I think this is going to be like an running in joke. Or he's no, he's Rob Pulser.
Turn a little up. I think our mics are all good. Everything sounds good today.
No, you're coming through loud and clear, and everyone in the chat is coming through loud and clear.
Good deal. Oh, is it hot over there?
I've got a fan on, so if you get any.
Oh no, I don't even hear it.
My hair is blowing. I turned it down.
You got all Fabio or something?
But the fan is just over there, just keeping me cool.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's cool. You don't even hear it. Yeah, if it's in Greeting Nerds. Rob Walters.
Congratulations on your White Dwarf debut.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, that was. I mean, I don't even know when it happened. Like October or November, and I was Lyle, the editor of White Dwarf, is probably going to be on here one day. Like we almost were doing it today, and he couldn't make it in the evenings. But coming up, like in the next week, I'm going to have him on to talk about it. But the funniest part to me was, you know, I just get a DM on Twitter, right, and I don't know who it is, you know, and I look, and I was like, you know, hey, I'm the editor of White Dwarf, and I wanted to talk to you about, you know, I don't think it was a feature or anything, but like, you know, just a simple opening like that, right? And my first thought was, bold move imitating the editor of White Dwarf. I'm like, what kind of scam account is this? And so I go to check, but like that was my first thought. I was like, no way, that's actually the editor of White Dwarf. Like I was like, what? I'm like, I don't even get this scam. My first, I was like, I don't get this scam. Why is someone like that's a popular person? Why would you use that? So it must be like totally new. And I was like, nope. Like I went and checked. I was like, oh wow, it really is him.
They knew that you weren't quite up to speed with everything at the time, and they were preying on you, obviously.
Yeah, that's what I mean, for real. It's like, I don't know what they're doing, but some scam. It's like, no, It's the actual editor.
Yeah, no, he's. I spoke to him actually probably about the same sort of time, because I've told you before that when he approached. Well, it was between Andy Hoare and Lyle that
Yeah.
sort of made an introduction, because there was, after me going in and doing a sort of a like a battle report with my
Yeah.
Titan sort of thing, but obviously lockdown put pay to that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
whether or not that will happen, I don't know. But I still haven't got White Dwarf yet, because
Yeah.
where I normally get them, they haven't had their delivery.
So I saw a couple people online get it. I know the US is delayed extra, right? So I think the home delivery isn't even till next month. I don't know if the Games Workshop stores are getting it. So I theoretically I think they're supposed to be in on Friday, but
Mm,
with the shipping delay, I don't know if it affects all them too. You know what I mean? So maybe I'll either call up there. I might just run up there because I think I want to get a couple things anyway, just to
yeah.
see. And then I got the home delivery, and then an independent store. I ordered 10 issues. I was like, just like if anyone gets in and they don't get an issue, you know, like someone's models, I want to have some for them. And I'm like, and a couple people asked me, so I'm like, I'll get some.
It's Christmas presents, isn't it? You
Yeah,
just like,
no, because I don't get like I'm not like who cares about like whatever like friends and stuff. Like maybe it's just because they asked. I'll be like, all right, that's cool. But yeah,
no, but I would say from those pictures that people would like posting up saying, "Oh, look, I've got Artist Empire in here," sort of thing.
yeah,
Um, just seeing what you had in that Skitari I commented on earlier on today, because the guy whose Skitari it was like so happy to have his model in White Dwarf, part of your sort of
yeah.
your profile.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let me get this.
So obviously you got to dine out on this as much as possible.
I know. I'm like, I gotta
Well,
ride it for all it's worth right now. I so I'm stuck. When they did some people did the a review of White Dwarf. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're gonna review White Dwarf, and then I'm like, I'll get to see what it looks like in print at least that way. And if they go through that part, and sure enough, they did. And there was like three of them, and I don't know, I didn't think about it, and they all had like cool words to say about my little section. I was like, no way, like wasn't even. I was like, that's cool, you don't know. I was like, oh gosh, they're gonna go over. I wonder what they'll think, and it was cool to hear something decent about them. So I was happy with that. I was like, all right, good. It wasn't a bomb on the reviews. So I like copied them all. And I'm like, what's your protocol for use? Like, I don't even know how to use something like that. It's like, hey, someone said something good about me, so I think you should watch. Like, I don't get the, I don't get how you're
I
supposed
think
to
you're
act. I'm
allowed to
like,
be
I don't know what,
you're
but
allowed
put
to be
all
happy.
three in one and then be like, hey, watch compliments about my work. I don't know, but that was my attempt.
Like,
Marketing.
say, live the moment, enjoy it for all it's worth.
Well,
I'm
that's it.
sure
It's like how you're not going to get in there often. You know what I mean?
yeah. So it's like what you're doing, obviously, with their models. Um, it's advertisement for them at the
Yeah.
end of it, and that's what it comes down to. So where you're doing these paintovers, and you know doing them like on the Wednesday where you're doing like the free paint over offer, I think it gets a lot of interest, and everybody sort of wants to put their obviously I've stopped submitting now because I never get on.
You will again.
I'm protesting.
No, there's a backlog of ones because you know exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm always like, oh, Lee. I'm like, you did another one I want to, and I want to keep doing Titans, but I had to ease off. I'm like, oh, ease off. I'm like, I've been doing a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's like
Moby's Miniatures said, "Got My White Dwarf was good reading in the page interview." It's sick. I know it was. I thought that's the other thing. So they said, I forget, was it interview or whatever, however Lyle worded it, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm like, awesome. Like, I might get like a page. I'm like, if I'm lucky, I'll get a spread, I'll get 2 pages. I'll have side by side. I'm like, that's awesome. And so I was all excited. And then I found out later, they're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be like whatever it is, 6 or 8 pages. I don't even know how long it is. It's like huge. And I was like, no way. I'm like, are you seriously gonna put that much? And I was like, I don't know what it is, like 15 paintovers or something. I think it's 15 paintovers.
Mm.
And I got to do 2 on Lyle's stuff. So that's why I did like a mini tutorial on there, just like with some concepts of how to get started on it and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I got to do 2 on his, and so I'll get to release those time lapses later.
You know, it's definitely, these sort of things happen so rarely in a hobbyist's life.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
just live it up.
Overton says, listening
If
to
we do like
Scott.
Homer Simpson with a perfect game, it'd be like, somebody say perfect game.
But I was laughing because I was talking to him, and I'm like, because I've been through quite a bit of life already, right? And you're not like on a job site, right? And I don't know, put some footer in, and no, there's not like 10 people who all text you or tweet you and say, great job, like this is awesome, great work, yeah. I'm like, this is like having people, you're in your workplace and someone's like runs into your desk and he's like, it's like, yeah, awesome spreadsheet, you rock, and like just runs out, and another person runs in and it's like, dude, that spreadsheet work is so awesome, keep it up, man, and runs out. I'm like that's what I'm like. You go your whole life like no one ever gets that, and then like people are like running into my workplace shouting compliments and then running out. It's like, how can you not be like pumped up? It's like, what is this?
That sort of reminded me a little bit of one of my favourite Simpsons characters, which is Hank Scorpio. The guy that Globex that Homer goes and works for, and he's a sort of like a Blofeld type character.
Yeah, yeah.
But he really loves Homer, and and he's really good at with the work environment and all that sort of stuff. He just comes in, well done, buddy. High five! You've killed all people.
Lee, what this is? What, like a heavy bolterish type thing? Gauntlets?
That is the Primarch that is known as Perturabo, or in other circles known as Peter Turbo.
Wait, say his name again. I'll never say it because I'll never say it right.
Perturabo.
Perturabo.
Yeah, it's just that certain people from Forge World used to call him Peter Turbo.
Oh yeah, I just shorten everything in my head, so he was Perturbo, but I just don't say it out loud.
Yeah.
Perturabo.
Yeah. And Perturabo is in the chat as well. So welcome.
Yeah,
Primarch of the Fourth Legion.
There's another little subtle piece on this thing that I love. If you look, I already have it half tinted, but right on his chest, they have a little bit of blue in here. And for some reason that stuck with me. There's a few reasons I really like it, because it goes with the gold and it's like just a little hint of a cool color on a couple spots in this that I think just worked awesome. And I didn't know this was the Primarch himself.
Yeah, he's put he's given him a helmet, because the actual model doesn't come with a helmet. One of the earlier Primarch models they brought out, but I've painted Perturabo myself for a friend, and he's a lovely model, and those are like sort of bolters, chain fed bolters that he has on both arms. He's basically full of bolter goodness. So yeah, he's just absolutely like proper badassery in motion, because he's like the master of siege. He breaks battles, and in the Siege of Terror books, he has been like the fulcrum of the traitors' invasion of the solar system and the breaking of Terra. So he does a lot in the
so okay, that figures, since that's his specialty, he'd be the one to get it done.
Ice cream breakfast is a thing. Sorry, I just saw Axanax comment.
Oh yeah, thank you for making it, Axe. Appreciate that. Oh wait, Axe, I think no, I don't have years loaded in.
And Toffee Trolls in as well.
Toffee, thanks for making it.
And Scott and Lee sounds like two kids that just got the understanding that ice cream breakfast is a thing. Yeah. Also,
I was, oh wait, but wait, listen to this. So this is how my day starts. This, I was slow at the start of this, right? And I was like, I knew you coming in would always charge me out because I got someone to talk to. I felt bad. Wait, there's another story. The White Dwarf writer, Dan Harden, right? So he's like I talked to briefly to Lyle, and then for the actual interview, I talked to Dan Harden, and it was the first time I talked hobby with anybody in years, right? And you see how my half spaz now. And that was the first time, and we babbled for like 2.5 hours. I babbled. He put it all together in that interview, but I had a blast. And that was one of the things I was like, wait, I think I can see talking to someone. I'm like, I like talking hobby. Like that was the first spot. Like after I was like, wait, I like talking to hobby. Like that was fun, so that was the whole reason I ended up streaming, is because I ended up doing like a video interview with him, and we just had a blast, talking about stuff, or I did. And then I was like, oh, I want to do that again. And I missed the other story I was going to tell, but whatever.
but no, that's the thing, is when you get hobbyists together, it sort of like it takes on, the conversation takes on a life of its own.
Yeah.
Like obviously you've got me here on a Wednesday and you chat stuff and you ask questions. I try to answer them as best I can and everything.
Yeah.
But everybody has that sort of, they've all like read like lore and background stuff and everything, and they've read books, and you can go into, best example is like you go into like Warhammer World for like participating in an event, for example, and you can just get chatting to random people. Like you're standing there playing your game, and people will come over, have a look at your stuff, and go, "Oh yeah, they're really cool," or "Oh, I've seen that on Facebook or Twitter, or Instagram, sort of thing," and you just get talking, and it's a really nice sort of camaraderie between hobbyists of all sort of like walks of life,
Yeah.
cultures, backgrounds, and everything. And you'll just get chatting, and then like next minute they'll say something, you go, "Oh yeah, I know about that," and like you continue conversation, and it's really nice, having that sort of thing. So that's the appeal of playing games.
And the thing, because I had been, I would pick up a White Dwarf now and then, or look at some of the stuff, but I never like dove back into it. You know what I mean? So it's bigger, and I've seen. I was even like, I don't know, 9 years ago or something. I was to an Adepticon to swing by in that, and so I knew it was growing, but I didn't really like interact with anything or whatever. And then when I really saw how many models, I was like, I think when I was younger, you could pretty much know all the models that came out, like from every company. Like it was like, oh, here's your, so you knew everything. I'm like, now there's so many coming out that you look at the backlog of everything. I'm like, there's what, tens of thousands of models I've never seen, that I keep seeing every time I do one of these, every time I'm on Twitter.
So I was just getting distracted because I just realised there's a cat in the room.
Dun dun dun.
Franny.
That's allowed.
Look, on TV.
Yeah, you're famous.
You're famous.
You're famous.
Franny is actually, we have several cats. Franny is the one that, if I was playing on my Xbox, would come over and sit with me and watch me play the Xbox, sort of thing. Yeah. So it's like my Xbox buddy. Well, yeah, you are. All right, you just sit there. Sorry.
I'll be here. You might be hearing a little dog barking. I might have to mute the mic in a minute. See if
that's all right. Coffee Troll. And if you tell those kids that it is a lie, then you have Lee when you tell him that you kit bash. No, you don't touch Titans with your kit bashing. Don't you dare. I love Titans, but I love Gargants. But when orcs get their hands on, because orcs can just do anything, and it just makes me sad.
I like all the orky stuff. Whatever they can do it. Those still. The play style of orcs, at least back in the day, it wasn't my thing because it was just way too open. You couldn't achieve anything. It was like no one. You're like the grunts couldn't fight hand to hand that great. The whatchamacallits weren't that shooty. You couldn't. You know what I mean? So it was like they weren't necessarily that great at anything, and what they were great at, like I don't think got enough beef up from the game at that point. So it was like, but I always loved the aesthetic. Like I loved all the vehicles and just the craziness.
Yeah, that's the appeal of them. And I think most people deep down have a soft spot for orcs, even if they're
Yeah,
not players, because they are
probably
just
right.
like a bunch of yobs.
Yeah.
But it's their whole concept. There was and it was in a story, and basically this is like this is an insight within the mental faculties of an orc. And this one war boss, he had a really awesome handgun. Right,
Yeah.
it was like the best thing ever. It killed everything. It was fantastic, and he came up with the idea of going back in time to an earlier self of him or something, and then getting the gun off of him there, so he had two guns.
Perfect.
And I think he did it, and it didn't end up well. It didn't work out at all. But it was like the whole sort of like thought process. Oh, this is my favorite gun.
I'm gonna go get two.
Yeah, I'll have two by doing this. Yes, but they're all sort of crazy badasses with what they use, and things that are just put together and they just work. They shouldn't, but they do.
Like I haven't followed the game or whatever, but I am curious because I thought that was one thing I always thought, like that was back in second edition, is that I thought the toughness should have been higher. Like I was like, oh, these are orcs, you know what I mean? Like even compared to a space marine, they're supposed to be tough, And so
Yeah,
I thought it was interesting that now they're beefing that toughness up. I don't know, how it plays out or whatever, but I'm sure it'll have an effect.
I was surprised when I first found out that orcs were basically their armor save was like non-existent in
Yeah.
comparison to everything else. Yes, they were meant to be like big nasty brutes that the longer they fight, the tougher and stronger they get, and all that. And then obviously you had the hierarchy of where you had like the real tough boys, so like the knobs, and then like the mega knobs and all that sort of stuff. But I was just so surprised that they were like so sort of bad at saving saving themselves. And also their weapons, yes, they have a lot of shots.
It never hits. They never hit.
Sort of thing. So whereas Eldar or Eldari, they can hit and they can do damage, but you don't. Well, unless you're firing like shurikens, which are like quite prolific with shots.
Yeah.
But then again, they're not as tough because obviously their bodies are a lot compared to Space Marines, definitely.
Yeah.
They're akin to like Imperial Guard sort of thing. So, but orcs I always thought should have been tougher. And the same with the crew as well. The crew when they first came out were actually quite. There was as tough as Space Marines. There was as strong as Space Marines.
Okay.
Had good weapon skill, not ballistic skill, but good weapon skill.
Yeah.
Because they were meant to be like close combat
Hunters almost kind of deal.
Yeah, and like sneaky. But they didn't have much of a save unless they had a shaper with them, and then they got a 6+ save. So with that, I just thought, well, you want to get them into close combat, ambush, sneak along, and all that sort of stuff. But they toughness 5. I think it is sort of long overdue for orcs, as because they are a big faction.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. They got to get their heyday.
That's that muzzle flash.
I love muzzle flashes.
Oh well, we know you do.
That's
Is
why I'm
that a bit
always
of
like, do I
art
take it
question
out? I
there?
always feel like I put two. I'm like, dude, do I take it out? But what's funny is most people who will commission me or whatever, they're always like, I had one. I'll have to show it on here. I finished one off that I really liked. It was just because I got to do some different stuff, and I put all these glowing bits, and then I'm like, hey, make sure if you see anything that I'm missing or whatever, like let me know. And they're like, okay, that little glowing gem, that little gem, and that two over there, and I just didn't see them, because I totally would have made them glow. I'm like, all right, they like the glow, like, the glow sells. I'm like, other people like it. It's not too much.
Yeah, no, it's you say this sort of pose as well is just screaming for the muzzle flash.
Yeah.
You always get those certain models where just because of the way their
Mm-hmm.
stance is, their positioning, you automatically know what needs to go where.
Yeah.
This angle as well, the photograph
That's what
perfect.
when I was going over them at the start, that's what I was kind of like just like talking about, so people could, hey, if you're doing, photos for this and you want to take some, because if there is, the right pose, right model, like clean background, I can isolate them. And I can literally do more faster. You know what I mean? So it's like, hey, it's giving some other people a chance to get theirs in too.
Mm. But no, that is definitely looking. That is almost sort of like a heavy metal album cover sort of grade artwork. Um,
I know. Yeah, there'll be some cool stuff. I always see these, like, theoretically, I would almost see. I would probably stop right here. I might stop right here, and I'm going to go back in. Like, so this is a time where I don't want to overwork it in the wrong ways. I know in my mind it needs a few more things, but I'm at a spot where it's like, get fresh eyes on it. You know what I mean? So I would probably, like, I pause here for a little. I don't need a lot of stuff because it's such a strong model and pose and everything. You're like, hey, don't overdo it. Get the feel in there and give it some action. I'll blur some of the chain or the heavy bolter thing so it looks like it's moving, and I'll blur a couple things here and there and add just a little bit of lighting. I don't know if I can see his eye colors. I was thinking about the glow, and I don't know what's on his shoulders.
Oh, like one of them's like a targeter type thing.
Okay.
That
Oh, okay.
it's been a while since I've actually.
Yeah, no. And so I'm gonna do a little something on that just so I can figure out if it's targeting. It does look like targeting because it's looking where his arm is looking on that one. Interesting. Yeah, so I'm gonna tweak a few things on that. Let me try to get something done here.
Axe Annex, I always wanted to see more grot love. Well, that's understandable. Grot tanks are the cutest things ever.
They really are cool. I see some of those. Those are, yeah.
And they're quite reasonable as well. I think I can't remember how much they are. But usually, like four in the pack you would order, you get four grot tanks. So they seem pretty reasonable for what they were.
Yeah.
Perturabo just said, yeah, the targeting lenses.
Oh, thank you.
Orca logic is quite
Hey,
similar to drunken people logic. That's true.
while you're in here, I can't, Perturabo. I can't even say his name. Like,
Yeah, I was right. Perturabo.
um, do the eyes? Do you have an eye color in there? Because I can make it glow there, and I'm gonna do a little more on the wire and a few other things on here. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything that would be
I,
obvious.
I would, because I'm seeing like red sort of thing, like a deep red though, not like
Yeah.
vibrant, like a menacing sort of like Maximilian from the Black Hole.
Yeah, like that real, yeah, just almost like a soft, yeah. And
Yeah,
I mean that's kind of what I was thinking, but if you paint them a certain color that I'm not seeing in there, let me know. I'll put a night I want to put a little bit of glow in there if needed, because in some ways he's got that dark shadow, it almost doesn't, but in others if you want me to like highlight a little, just kind of let me know, because I'm going to put some more stuff on this thing because it is awesome. Great work, by the way.
no, that is such a great picture. You say
I
that
know. It's going to be cool. There's some subtle stuff I want to do with it, and I know it's just one of those things like, hey, I'm trying to bang these out. Like, I got to switch mindsets for that and put a few finishing touches on
Perturabo's replied, "Yeah, maybe red."
it. Good, easy.
Oh, Fantasy Marines.
Yeah, I I like them. I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's the proportions are a little different to me than Space Marines and what everything, but I really like these Stormcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's the gold. I'm
All
so
about the gold. It's all about the bling with you, isn't it?
It's like as soon as it's gold, it's like, yeah, I like it. This is the worst model ever. Yeah, but I like it.
Didn't come through the photo. No idea who took it. Some remembrancer probably. Yeah, those remembrances were getting everywhere, under everybody's feet during the Great Crusade. Yeah, imagine imagine standing in front of a Primarch as he's unloading with his like wrist mount bolter cannons. Overton is in agreement. A dark red shine would look really nice.
All right, good. And we got.
I wonder what you're going to do with this
We got
blade. This Stormcast has.
What was that?
I'm just thinking. Well, I know what you're going to do. I'm just saying. Oh, I wonder what you're going to do with that blade there. You can see the glow.
I love the blades on these things. I want to do some nice.
Come through all nice and shiny.
I know it's got the teal and the gold, even like the purple in there. I should have. I don't think I tweeted the people whose models I'm even doing. At least Perturbo made it.
Well, that's sort of run of the standard, isn't it? We very rarely do we know who we're painting.
I know. Thanks for making it, everyone. By the way.
Axanax. I like painting Stormcast more than I like painting Primaris Marines for the most part. They have more fun bits.
I see. I could see that. Yeah, different proportions, not the same total like smooth things in a way, even though they are. And I've seen a lot of them. I love how they do like the corroded copper or something. I love all those effects on the metal.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. So I've got a few friends that do like AOS, but I've never, like, even with Warhammer Fantasy, I've the only times I've dabbled with it was to I got some night goblins once because I just thought they were crazy and sort of like it tickled me. So I got a few of them, like squig catchers, like running around with a big club with a nail sticking through it, that sort of thing.
That's what I think they're good at now. Well, I mean, I guess they were good at it before, but it's like now they even fund it more. Like, because big battles, I'm not going to play a 40K and an AOS, you know what I mean, at the same time at this point. Never happened, but like I could see myself playing like a Necromunda or a Titanicus even both at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'll learn those two games. You have a couple things. You don't need the full, a whole full army and all that. So I think they do good now at giving everyone a chance to kind of try to play something their way. Like I don't know what the new Blood Bowl is like, but I love the old Blood Bowl because it was just such a catastrophe of rolls and the crazy things that would happen during the game.
With the specialist games in particular, they've got Andy Hoare, who's the head of specialist games.
Okay.
That's his passion. It was always his passion. It was like like playing like the old style games, like Rogue Trader era games, which he still plays Rogue Trader with a friend of his.
For sure, I can see that.
But like Necromunda, Blood Bowl, all those sort of games were right up his street. And obviously, once he was made like the head of it, you knew that he was in for a good time because he's got the passion that we have.
Yeah,
he's a fan of that like genre of all of them. He goes in there and does it and gets his teams working at producing and supporting the games as well. Whereas back in sort of like the early 2000s, like Aeronautica Imperialis, when that first came out, they had loads of like fighters and stuff that came out with it, but after the initial release, that was it. There wasn't much going on. Inquisitor as well. They used to have a little magazine that came out, but then that slowly dried up. But this time round, well, especially like Aeronautica, because they saw all these other like tabletop air skirmish.
Yeah, there have been a lot of those lately.
Hmm. Oh
Does
yeah, like
seem like it.
X-Wing was the one that really blew everyone away. But
Which one?
X-Wing,
Oh, okay, yeah.
that was a major sort of like when that came out, because you got these models of a genre that you've been following for most people's lives.
Yeah,
They come painted, so
yeah,
it's like nothing to do there. And basically, it's card collecting as well. So you've got to collect cards and whatever
yeah.
to make them more usable. But obviously, when I was doing X-Wing, I painted mine, so
Oh, okay, yeah.
you had that option as well. So you could paint them up to
Heck
make
yeah.
them your own little sort of forces and stuff. But it was a fun game, and that's what people liked. And I think a lot of people actually went off it a bit when they done the 2.0 version.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
that happens.
they basically said, "Oh, well, all those cards you bought are no good. You got to buy these new cards for
Yeah,
each faction." And most people had multiple factions,
yeah,
and so
yeah.
a lot of money to spend out um, for it. And it was quite a quick turnaround for like a second version to come out. Really, I never played the second version because I, I swapped all my ships, all my fleets that
Yeah.
I had for Forge World Resin Crack. So
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I never played any of the aerial games.
hmm.
So I never know how the aerial games play out. You know, I played the naval ones and some other stuff, but I don't know how the naval ones really play out.
Yeah,
I know the aerial ones.
I got some ships for Aeronautica Imperialis when they released the Tau fighters last year, purely because I like Tau fighters, and that was it. I was only buying it for the ships so I could paint up, not necessarily to play. I haven't even touched the Imperial stuff. Literally, I just got the Tiger Sharks and Barracudas out,
Yeah.
and I was happy. Um, But again, it's like with games like Drop Fleet Commander, where you've got ship combat, you've got Starfleet Armada as well.
Yeah.
Like for Starfleet Armada, I bought one ship, which was Home One, which is Admiral Akbar's Mon
Yeah.
Calamari cruiser, just because it was Home One. You know, I've never played a game of it. I purely bought it just to have that ship. And the Dropfleet Commander I bought again because I love spaceships. I love the idea of space combat games,
Yeah.
but I just never get to play them. So
Yeah, because a
I,
lot depends on who's playing around you and all that kind of stuff too.
yeah. So and obviously now Titanicus is out for 3 years. I've been obsessed with building and painting Titans.
That's how long did it take you to like close to 100? How long did it take you to do that?
um, well,
Because some of
I've
them
been
have to
collecting
go back a ways.
so was it August 2018 it was released, and now we are June 2021, so almost 3 years.
Wow, that's a lot of work, dude.
I've just finished you take into account I've also done a lot of sort of tight buildings. I bought a lot of building scenery
Yeah,
sets, so I've done a lot of buildings and a hell of a load of knights. So I've
yeah.
just finished my 96th Titan. Um, I've got 150 knights that I've already built and painted. So this is all
You have
complete. I've got
150 knights?
yeah,
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
yeah, 150 of the little buggers.
Wow.
Um, 5 different households. I think I think it's 5. I can't remember now. Tyrannus, Caesarian, Divine, Veroni, and Inara. Inara is a homebrew one I made up.
Gotcha.
Out of those 6, Procon Vi. 6 households. So, so yes. But yeah, I just got the reason I probably got so many knights because I kept on buying starter sets which came with knights. So the way I saw it was I was getting Titans cheaper and getting free knights. So I just basically just kept on going and doing it. So yeah, it's what got me through last year mostly because I think there was a massive acceleration on my building and painting through lockdowns.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you
yeah,
get to
that's the same thing that basically with me. That's why I was like doing paintovers, you know.
So I just got to a certain point where I just thought, I suppose I better hit some magic numbers. So yeah, it was 150 nights. I've still got 3 that I haven't built. So technically 153, but those 3 are just sitting there until I finish my 100 Titans.
Yeah.
And then I'll have to. I did actually, because my plan, which I did mention on Twitter the other week, was once I hit 100, I was going to go up to Warhammer World, ask them to get one of their big display tables out, and then just put them all on there, like a big face off. But I asked the other day, and my friend Baz, who is who runs the game hall, he said, "Well, basically all the theme balls we can't actually use at the moment because of the whole sanitization process. They've only got basic boards out. So until the restrictions lessen again, those are off limits." So yeah. Because I could get them all out and take a big photograph of them all
in the parking lot. In the parking lot, all surrounding that.
But then there's no sense of awesomeness and like it's awesome to see that many, but when you see them onto like a scenic display, so much better, so much better. So, and I've been wanting to do this for months.
For sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's no joke. That's a lot of work to get all that done.
Yeah.
Oh, Mechanical Frog, thanks for making it. Painting in 2020 was epic. 2021, not so much so far. Yeah, you put out Mechanical Frog. He just put out a little video on his YouTube with some like it was still shots like fading and like transitioning to other stills, and I was like, oh, that's a good idea. Like I didn't do that with any of my paintovers. Like just take still shots of the paintovers, you know what I mean, and have a video with music and then flip through a bunch of them. So they did that. He did that with all his models for that year, and it was pretty cool.
No, so it's good to watch like other YouTubers with their processes and how they approach sort of certain like subjects and painting. Because sometimes they may do something that you just go, wow, I didn't even think about that.
For sure. And there's a couple I watch kind of, they'll have videos that kind of really suit me, and some are like quick and then some are even more in depth, but I learn a ton all the time. You know what I mean? Just watching them do like, oh, I didn't think about that. And like, I'll watch some of the guys doing like, I think there's like 1 or 2 of them, and they do a lot of the non-metallic metal, and I'm so used to, I'm like, non-metallic metal, I'm used to painting. There's like no such thing as metal paint. You're always painting non-metallic metal, but like, in miniatures, obviously they have the metallic paint, so it's different. But so I've been watching some of those, and just kind of, you learn through osmosis, and it's a lot of it's very similar to what I'm doing, and how, but there's that whole, when you're really painting and you got the control and you've done it a million times, and you know what I mean, which way to layer it and how your paint is and all that. I'm like, oh boy, my first ones are going to be so rough, but I am going to do them. I'm going to like assemble and paint like the first one in like 30 years on live stream. So I know that's going to be one of the streams. I'm like, that'll be a good one. That'll be something catchy. I have to play like the algorithm YouTube games. Like, what would work? Would they?
Well, Yeah, well, once you figure it out, let me know.
Yeah.
But it's similar to what you were just saying there. Like on my live stream, hobby stream on Saturday,
Yep.
Rob, who was in watching here tonight, I don't know if he's still about, but he was watching
Yep.
earlier. He came on and was watching me paint, and like he noticed like my brushes like aren't the greatest. They're
Yeah.
like the nib, the brush, the tip, sorry, was like that on a couple of them, and he was actually saying like, I'm amazed at how well, like, you know, even though the brush is like that,
Yeah.
how you're keeping the control of it, sort of thing. And I don't think about that sort of stuff. I just do it.
No, you're just used to doing it, so you keep going with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there you do it. Yeah. What tip? Yeah, exactly. You know, it
What?
had kind of a tip. It was just like, you know, for going around corners. If you want to paint around a corner, it is the best brush ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just get used to doing. I have got, you know, nicer brushes, but I've hardly used them because
Mm-hmm.
they just don't seem to do what I want them to do. So I just get the cheap ones and then just like blitz through them, and
Yeah.
I don't throw them away. I keep them and use them for like basing and other stuff. So I've got a huge bag of like brushes for spanning years.
That's what I mean. I knew, like, I got some brushes, but I didn't get anything fancy. I'm like, I'm not gonna need fancy. I just need to get something done.
Oh, but yeah, that was so you don't know until somebody like sort of picks up on something. And I've never paid attention to myself.
Yeah.
It's only when someone says something you go, "Oh, is it really? Oh, okay." Yes. Overton, we'll need to start a crowdfunding to get Lee some new brushes. But to be fair, you won't have to raise much because I only do the cheap ones. But thanks for the offer, though. Oh dear.
Blend this a little bit.
I like the little angels on his.
Yeah, try to do it like a little bit because they have the paint on there. Try to do them a little bit electric. I don't know.
It sort of reminded me a bit of because of the purple, which reminded me of a Game of Thrones character called Sir Arthur Dane, who was one of the kings.
Yeah.
Because he has, I think it was like a purple flash of lightning. I think through, or it might be Beric Dondarrion who has the lightning flash. Yeah, no, sorry, yeah. Arthur Dane had the a star. Sorry for
You remember a lot of stuff. I'd be lost, man. I'd never remember anything. And Shell's like, wait.
Yeah, no, I listened to a lot of the audio books and of that, but there was also a YouTuber. Oh, I've forgotten his name now. I'm going to have to check it out now. Home that and check their subscriptions. Alt Shift X. That was it. And he done like breakdowns of the background and lore of Westeros and all that sort of stuff. I'd listened to like George R. Martin's stuff where he's produced books telling the history, sort of like a Silmarillion that he did for it, and the all the little stories and stuff that this guy goes through, breaks them down, and you sit there and I just absorb this information and it just like sort of sticks in my head. But yeah, no, it was I think it was a purple flash of lightning. It was Beric Dondarrion, who was the knight that was sent out by Ned Stark to bring back the mountain. Or stop the mountain from doing what he was doing in the season 1, and then he ended up being the undead dude, as they call him. That was fastest. Was it fastest? Oh, so,
Oh,
I think I don't know. Basically, he kept on getting brought back to life. He kept on getting killed.
that whole thing of how it happened with the mountain was just like a crazy. I was like, okay, that was hardcore. You know, the whole fight and all that, and what happened, and
Yeah, getting like a sword buried deep into his shoulder,
yeah,
and the red priest comes along and prays to his god,
yeah,
Lord Light, and suddenly, oh, he's alive again, and he's like, how did I don't know how I did that, but he kept on doing the same thing every time he got killed. He just kept on doing the same thing. So yeah, Beric Dondarrion is a really cool character, and so Arthur Dane was also a really cool character. He was the King's Guard that Ned killed in the Robert's Rebellion when he was trying to rescue his sister.
okay.
But he was like considered to be like probably one of the greatest swordsmen
Oh,
around.
they're supposed to do that whatever prequel or something. When is that? Do you know when that's supposed to be?
I think that was down for December this year.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
because I was watching. Well, I wasn't watching. I saw like a report on it on the newsfeed, and I wasn't aware that Matt Smith was in it. You know, the former Doctor Who.
Okay.
He's in it as a Targaryen. Um, and then you also got Rhys Ifans, who is a Welsh actor who's been in loads of like films from like the 90s or maybe late 90s, early 2000s. And he's in it as well. And I thought, oh, wow. You know, and there's several other people that you'd recognize from
Yeah.
other shows and stuff. But what they're covering in that, which was the first mentioned Dance of the Dragons, which was a Targaryen sort of civil war as such, because
Okay. So that's like okay.
yeah, so that was so this one will have dragons in it because dragons were still around at that time. So dragon fights and people bickering and politicking and stuff going on.
Yeah.
Uh, Mechanical frog, just dip the model in the paint and flick off the excess. No brush needed. I think that's where everybody started off. The old dip and flick, a very common method. Oviton has got some artist opus brushes a while back. Can highly recommend them. Nice, super nice, and extra special painting. Frog, I've seen some models painted like that, and often on open for commissioned profiles.
Yeah, someone knows. Just dip that stuff, and if someone's going to pay for it, good deal.
Yeah, it's a whole thing like where you see like people on eBay selling armies and they're saying pro painted, and you just look going, really?
Are you sure?
Yeah, you drop the pro and just say you painted, because most of the time people will just strip them. So that's why they sort of bicker at the price because they're going to repaint them anyway.
Yeah.
Crimson, sorry I haven't been chatty today. Just kind of tired from the new job. No, don't worry, man.
Yeah, no worries.
It's nice to have you
did
look.
it though. Hope you're recovering.
Yeah.
It's some busy days.
Mechanical frog. I'd say I'm still not quite good enough for commission paint, but I think I'm getting better. Someday, maybe. That's the thing. I don't consider myself to be commission paint grade or anything, and in the way I feel about it, I probably would never do a commission paint anyway, because I'd get really upset if I'd done something and nobody liked it. So I'm just happy with what I do. It's okay, man, as long as we know you're here. Well done, Toffee. New job. Yeah, let's soak the energy from the soul. Yes, that's what they do. And commission painting seems to be an easy way to lose the passion for painting.
Yeah, I could see.
Yeah, I know there's certain like groups out there that sort of seek out people to be part of like a business where they do painting sort of thing. So it's like you become part of it, and they'll send you someone's commission, and you paint it and send it back and whatever. So obviously you earn and they earn. But yeah, I'll just say I don't know how I'd feel about if somebody was asking me to paint something for them. I can only paint to my standard and my
Yeah,
technique,
yeah.
you know. So I'd be a little bit, you know, I think my stuff's okay, but I don't assume everyone else thinks it's okay
Hmm.
when they
I
see
mean,
it.
with that, it's like, you know, people will hire you kind of looking at your work and know what they're getting. Like, there's people who I like their work and they would be like, oh, I don't think I'm the best or whatever. But I'm like, well, yeah, but I really like what you do. You know what I mean? I'm like, I like that. And I had to learn that too, because I look at myself like, I don't like this and I don't like that. And people would enjoy it, and it's like, okay, I gotta like adjust to that, you know. And like that was part of me, was like, dude, that's why I did so many. I'm like, okay, just get over like my own like fear of like, just crank them out and show the ones that are like don't look good, show like just show that stuff and be like, hey, you might get a good paint over for me, you might not. Like it's got a little bit like a lottery ticket. You
It's
know,
a lottery
it,
review,
it,
really, isn't it?
if anyone ever pays, like I always want to do the best job I can. So I do, like, I stress it, but I learned that always doing a bunch of them, there's like more techniques that pop in my mind to handle that I can throw at the situation. Like I'll just
Yeah.
throw like, oh, I remember how to do that, that, and that, and then like I'll try three different things. It's like, nope, those were wrong, and then you just add and be like, okay, do it this way. So that's the same with, I think, a lot of people like showing your work, and online now it would be super intimidating. Like, I look at all these, just the paint jobs, like all these people are doing and everything. And it's like, wow. But for me, I waited too late. Like I should have been doing way more stuff way sooner and everything. But on the same hand, it's like, okay, better now than never.
Yeah. Well, at least you're doing it. That's the
Yeah,
main.
that's it.
So, are you having fun with it as well? That's
Dude, I am. Yeah, I really am. And that's kind of surprising because a lot of times you don't. When I'm not all like, I'm not impressed. Like, I'm over me. I'm not impressed with, like, you know what I mean? Like, I draw, I'm like, hey, yeah, I do some cool stuff. It's not horrible, good enough for me. I don't like, that's it. Like, if people, I try, I mean, like, I get into it and I keep trying to hone techniques and all that kind of stuff. But I
uh,
get more kick out of, seeing someone else's stuff and like I like it's like, wow, you're like taking a little journey through their mind when they're like, and especially when I stare at them at this level, you're seeing like I'll start like, oh, they did this little color and they thought of this little technique and they're doing that kind of thing, and it's like a journey.
mm. I say it's just getting from where you're sort of getting back in, and so you can appreciate people's work, and obviously when they, this dude here in particular, the coloration on there, he sort of inspires you to
Yeah.
do something with it, and like create that sort of like the background surrounds and stuff for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's what I just started for fun. I didn't know I'd be doing. You know what I mean? I saw someone. I'm like, these are cool. I'm like, well, what about this? And so I was literally just doing it because they were inspiring. So
Yeah.
that's kind of why it works out, because it is inspiring. I get a commission like, hey, how about this? And I'm like, wow, like heck yeah.
Sorry, I was just pulling a face there. I was yawning. I was like, "Arr!" I was trying to be a ventriloquist or something.
Do you have game time soon?
We have game tonight, yes. So we've still got half an hour. So
Oh,
we're all good. And it's just after 8 o'clock, which means it's Doom time.
dun, dun, dun. There's still, I haven't heard or seen anything much lately.
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Where?
Somewhere I stumbled on it on a YouTube deep dive,
Okay.
basically. Um, but basically, it was a guy who had, because there have been sort of like screen tests, like where they've shown
Yep.
people what the film is already. And obviously, these people had to sign like NDAs
Yeah.
to sort of give away. But um, obviously, some people just don't care. So they
Yeah.
sort of mentioned a few things. Like they answered a few questions that people have been asking about the film.
Yeah.
Uh, So obviously in the first film, from what I know, it ends quite abruptly.
Okay.
So there might be two different endings to the first film, like where they
Gotcha.
obviously following the books. There was two scenes that were mentioned, which the commentator was saying, if it ends after this one, then it's a bit abrupt because then you don't see a certain character as
Yeah.
much. If it ends after this other scene that he's heard and speculated on, then that would make more sense because then you see this character a bit more
Gotcha.
before sort of split and then they do the second film, whatever. But yeah, it was just like interesting, like questions that he was like he's seen online at forums and stuff. And
Yeah.
he's just that person. They've answered what they thought they could answer without giving away
Yeah.
anything. Then if anyone knows anything about Dune, you know how the story starts, finishes, and ends anyway.
Yeah.
But the main takeaway I took from this little sort of video that I watched was that they asked a question like who was like the standout, who was a standout performance for the person,
Gotcha.
and they came back with Jason Momoa,
Oh, okay.
who's playing Duncan Idaho.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I seen him in the car. I could see that.
And so, because obviously, as most fans know, Duncan Idaho has, he's not in the entire film,
Yeah.
or he's not in the entire book, but he does have an impact. So obviously, that gets looked at more with it. But and they also said that Timothy Chalamet, who plays Paul, that he was really sort of, he sort of has something about him that sort of brings you into
Yeah.
believing everything about it, sort of thing. So, because I've seen him in it was a Netflix film that he played like King Henry V or something like that.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was Henry V.
Yeah. One of those.
Yeah, and it was actually because I'd seen him like in a bit part in something. I thought, oh, he's a young guy, he looks all right. But in this, I think it's called The King. It was out last year,
Okay.
and he's actually really quite good. And he has that gravitas about him, that
Yeah.
although he's young, he has presence,
Yeah.
which was surprising. Which,
Let's try this one. Oh, Sander, gee, thanks, thanks, hey, and thanks for stopping by the forum. I don't, probably not this one. I'm not going to do this one or do it today, but I'm going to have another one of these streams soon. Probably was it Wednesday?